Hello! Okay, the reading rush ended about a week ago, and I'm finally sitting down to film my reading rush wrap up. In this video, I just quickly want to review all the books that I read and just tell you what I think of them. If you don't know what the reading rush is or you're confused in any way about what this video is, I will put a link in the description to all my reading rush videos, and that'll explain everything. That's basically it. So let's just start. The first book I read this reading rush was The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro. I think I'll give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Like 3.5 to 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it, but it wasn't like a perfect book for me. First, I'll tell you what it's about. In a post-Arthurian Britain, the wars that once ravaged between the Saxons and the Britons have finally ceased. Axel and Beatrice, an elderly British couple, set off to visit their son, whom they haven't seen in years. And because a strange mist has caused mass amnesia throughout the land, they can scarcely remember anything about him. As they are joined on their journey by a Saxon warrior, his orphan charge, and an illustrious knight, Axel and Beatrice slowly begin to remember the dark and troubled past they all share. So I think this book is about remembering and forgetting. A lot of this book talks about, is it okay to forget things? Because there's this mist that is clouding everyone's mind. And so people have forgotten a lot of their past, which obviously they don't like. They want to know, for example, they want to know what happened to their son, but also they've forgotten all the bad parts about their life as well, which, is that a good thing? Do you want to forget all the bad? It's about that kind of stuff, and that part of the book really grabbed me, and that is the part of the book that I still think about. A week later, I'm still that was some powerful stuff. I really liked all the characters. The old couple, they are just such a cute old couple, and I just want to protect them. And then the side characters, there's this really funny knight, there's this mysterious little kid. It's a book that kept me guessing. I felt the mystery throughout this whole book, and I think that's what really kept me super interested. I wanted to know where this mist was coming from. I wanted to know if Axel and Beatrice were gonna be okay. The only reason I didn't give it 5 out of 5 stars is that it felt a little slow for me sometimes, but I think it's because of the writing that I'm not used to. The writing seems kind of old in a way, and also, I don't know, it moves along slow. It's a slow burn, I think, which I usually like, but here, I don't know, there were times where I wanted it to go faster, but see, I think that might have got to do with the fact that I was doing it in the reading rush, and you want to read books fast because that's the point of the reading rush. So maybe this was just not a good pick for the reading rush necessarily. I think if I'd taken my time more with this, I might have enjoyed it more, which is kind of sad, but I recommend it. I think it tells a really beautiful message, and yeah, the characters are really nice. I like this book. After that, I read The Call of the Wild by Jack London. This book I fell in love with from page 1. I was obsessed with this book. I'm still obsessed with this book. This is a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Obviously, it's quite short, because this is The Call of the Wild plus 2 other stories were actually in here. So it's a really short story, but it's so beautiful. I said this in my reading vlog as well, but I love how this book describes dogs and dogs' behavior and dogs' personalities. I don't know, I just feel like this book respects dogs, you know? And I loved how the dogs were the main focus in this story and not the humans. Although it was also about the humans. It's about survival, and I think there's tons of lessons to be learned from this book. Tons of lessons. Every chapter I was oh, it's such a quick read. It packs a punch, you know? I cried, I laughed, I was just in awe of this, basically. I thought it was so great. Also some really beautiful writing. I love that it took place in the icy landscapes of, I think it was Canada. It just makes me want to go there and hang out with sled dogs. I would die so fast in that environment, but it was so interesting to read about, and the nature, the animals, it's right up my alley. I really love this. I have nothing negative to say about this whatsoever. This is one of my new favorite books of all time. I think I'm actually gonna buy a hard copy, a really beautiful version. I think Barnes and Nobles have a really beautiful version of this book that I am eyeing right now. Then a short intermission of 2 very tiny books that I read after The Call of the Wild. I bought them in Japan. This is The Words of Princesses and The Words of Villains. I don't even know who makes this. Shufu no Tomosha. Shufu no Tomosha? I don't know if you're interested in these. They're basically books full of quotes. It just has like a page with the villain, the quote in Japanese, the quote in English. That's basically what it's kind of silly, honestly. I think these are kind of nice little books to put in your bathroom, like, you know, like toilet reads, and like when you have guests over they can just like flip through it while they're on the toilet. I think that's the type of book this is. They're really fast reads, they're cute, but I have to say I paid 1,500 yen for each of these, which is like, you know, I pay like $15 for this one and $15 for this one, which I don't think they're worth $15. They're not that special, and I'm pretty sure, are they official Disney merch? Because it seems like they're official Disney merch, but part of me feels like this looks a little bit fake. I don't know. I don't even know, but like they're cute. So those are the two next books that I read. After those, I read another one of my bigger books, which was The Truth About Keeping Secrets by Savannah Brown. I don't know how to rate this. It's like, it's a 5-star. Or is it a 4.5 out of 5 stars? While I was reading this, I was like, this is a 5-star, this is a 5-star, this is a 5-star. But then, for some reason, I was a little bit let down by the climax and the ending. And so, like, I can't bring myself to give it a 5 out of 5, because 5 out of 5 means perfect, right? It's just not that. It's just not perfect, but it is so beautiful. And I do highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is really beautiful. This is a story of a girl named Sydney whose dad recently passed away. Her dad was the town's therapist, so he kind of knew everyone's secrets. And he died in a car crash, but Sydney starts thinking maybe someone murdered him. Maybe something more was going on behind his death. And on top of that, June Copeland, the homecoming queen of her high school, shows up at his funeral, which she thinks is weird because like they're not friends. And that's where our story starts. Sydney, full of grief, thinking maybe someone murdered her dad, meeting June Copeland in weird circumstances. It's kind of a murder mystery, it's kind of a high school drama, it's kind of a love story. I think what I like the most about this is just the writing itself. Savannah Brown is also a poet. I've read some of her poetry before and I really like it. Her writing is really poetic, so if you're into poetic writing, this is it. It's so beautiful. The way she talks about grief, the way she describes things, everything is so vivid. I could not put this book down. It was really, really fun to read as well. Well, fun, but also like heartbreaking the entire time, because a lot of it's about death. Which leads me to a little bit of a disclaimer. If the topic of death kind of freaks you out or you might get triggered by it, maybe don't read this book, because it gets really shocking. Like even I was like really shocked. If you've seen my reading vlog, you know what I mean. I was kind of shocked by some of the things that happened in this book and some of the things that were described and talked about in this book. But I thought it was brilliant. This book just like grabbed me by the heart, and like I felt like my heart was being squeezed the entire time I was reading it, because I was just like holding my breath. Also, this book has LGBT representation. Our main character, Sydney, is a lesbian, and it's also how she struggles with her sexuality. That was really wonderful as well. Highly recommend this book. I'm still debating on whether to give this a 4 or a 5-star. We will see. The next book I read was this one, How to Create a Vegan World: A Pragmatic Approach by Tobias Leenaert. If you're not vegan or vegetarian, don't click away from this video. I'm not about to preach to you. This book, it's pretty much what the title says. In this thought-provoking book, Tobias Leenaert leaves well-trodden animal advocacy paths and takes a fresh look at the strategies, objectives, and communication of the vegan and animal rights movements. He argues that given our present situation, with entire societies depending on using animals, we need a very pragmatic approach. How to Create a Vegan World contains many valuable ideas and insights for both budding advocates for animals and seasoned activists, organizational leaders, and even entrepreneurs. And even me. I would recommend this book to anybody who is anywhere on the scale of the animal rights movement. Whether you're vegetarian or vegan or interested in maybe trying to cut out some meat or whatever, or just if you really care about animal rights, but you do eat animal products, like it's all good. If you're anywhere on the scale of caring about the animal rights movement, I think this is a really, really interesting read. I think it's important to note, before all of you run away from this book, that this book is like the least judgmental thing I've ever seen. Because you know how vegan people and animal activists can be sometimes. They can be judgy, and like I hate that about the whole movement, how they like point a finger at people, which like, you know, we're all just living our life and trying our best, right? And this book really acknowledges that. That's what the pragmatic approach is all about. It's about accepting people, meeting them where they are, and seeing how we can step by step make the world a better place. It's really, of course, it is dense because it is like, you know, it's like a study book. It's like something that I would learn in college. So I was like highlighting stuff. It's that kind of a book. But it is so interesting. This book left me feeling really positive and happy about the world, and like we can make a change, you know, if we all just follow this approach. It's a good book. It's a really good book. And I think I give this a 4 out of 5 stars as well. And then we have come to my 7th and final book that I read. This one is also a shorter one. It is a manga. It is called No Katachi. This is part of an 8-volume series. This is the first installment. There is also a movie that was made about this. So like, if you don't want to read the manga, you can watch the movie. I have by now read the second one as well, and I really like it. It's kind of like a cute high school story, but like mixed in with like some really deep stuff. Because like this gets deep. Basically, the premise is this guy is kind of like the bad boy in class. He's not like the nicest guy. And she is a new student that comes into their high school, and she is deaf. She uses like signs to talk, and basically it's how she impacts his life. It starts off really light and funny, but then like it gets deep, and it will make you cry. Yeah, there's only like 8 volumes of this, so it's quite easy to get through. Although I have heard that the movie is really good too, so you might want to watch the movie. It's called No Katachi. I don't know the English name of this. In English, it's called A Silent Voice. So if you're interested in this, yeah, I heard the movie's good, but I would recommend the manga as well. I really like the art style, and yeah, I like it. I think I give this like a 4 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I read in the reading rush. I had a great time doing the reading rush. If you did the reading rush, please let me know what books you read, and like recommend me some books, because I'm always looking for new books. I think I'm just gonna leave it here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!